For thousands of years, a narrow strip of water between the mountains of modern Iran and the rugged coastline of Oman has quietly shaped the fate of empires, economies, and civilizations. Today, the world knows it as the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most strategically important waterways on Earth. Every day, enormous oil tankers pass through this narrow corridor, carrying a significant portion of the world's energy supply. A single military incident here can send shockwaves through global markets within hours. Nations watch it constantly. Navies patrol it endlessly. Economists fear its closure. And in moments of geopolitical tension, millions of people begin asking the same haunting question. Could this narrow passage somehow connect to biblical prophecy? The Bible never directly mentions the Strait of Hormuz by name. The word Hormuz itself emerged many centuries after the biblical era, shaped by Persian and Islamic history, long after the scriptures had already been written. Yet the land surrounding this narrow maritime corridor is deeply tied to the biblical world. The ancient kingdoms, empires, and peoples that once dominated this region appear repeatedly throughout Scripture. Persia, Elam, Babylon, Arabia, Media. These were not distant mythical lands to the biblical writers. They were real powers influencing the fate of Israel and the ancient Near East. To understand why many modern Christians and prophecy interpreters associate the Strait of Hormuz with biblical themes, it is necessary to step back into the ancient world itself, a world where geography often determined destiny. Long before crude oil transformed the Persian Gulf into the center of global energy, the waters surrounding the Strait of Hormuz already carried immense importance. Ancient trade routes connected Mesopotamia to India, Arabia, and East Africa through these waters. Merchants transported spices, precious stones, incense, textiles, metals, and rare goods through the Gulf thousands of years before modern tankers existed. Whoever controlled these maritime passages possessed influence over commerce itself. The Bible emerged within this geopolitical landscape. Ancient Israel stood at the crossroads of empires. To the northeast rose the power of Assyria and, later, Babylon. Beyond them stood the Persians. To the south lay Arabia and Egypt. Every major imperial movement in the region affected the biblical story in some way. Among these ancient powers, Persia would eventually become one of the most important kingdoms in biblical history. The rise of the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great dramatically changed the course of Jewish history. After the Babylonian captivity, Cyrus issued the decree allowing the Jewish exiles to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. In many ways, Persia became both a political force and a prophetic symbol within Scripture. The Bible speaks of Persia repeatedly in books such as Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, and Isaiah. The prophet Isaiah even refers to Cyrus by name long before his birth, according to the biblical narrative, describing him as an instrument through whom God would accomplish his purposes. But perhaps the most mysterious biblical connection to the region surrounding the Strait of Hormuz involves the ancient kingdom of Elam. Elam occupied territory in what is now southwestern Iran, not far from the Persian Gulf region. In the Old Testament, Elam appears both historically and prophetically. The prophet Jeremiah delivers a striking judgment against Elam. "I will break the bow of Elam, the mainstay of their might." For centuries, scholars understood this primarily as a prophecy concerning ancient military defeat. Elam was eventually absorbed into larger empires and disappeared as an independent civilization. Yet in modern times, some prophecy interpreters have revisited these passages and begun asking whether there could be deeper future implications tied to the Iranian region itself. This is where interpretation begins to divide dramatically. Many biblical scholars caution against directly mapping modern nation-states onto ancient prophetic texts. They argue that Jeremiah was speaking to the geopolitical realities of his own era, not predicting 21st century oil routes or modern military tensions. From this perspective, the prophecy against Elam was fulfilled long ago through historical conquest and imperial collapse. Others disagree. They believe biblical prophecy often contains layered meanings, historical fulfillments that may also foreshadow future events. To these interpreters, the ancient territory of Elam, overlapping modern Iran, becomes deeply significant, especially as Iran occupies one side of the Strait of Hormuz today. And it is here that ancient scripture collides with modern geopolitics. The Strait of Hormuz is not merely another shipping lane. It is one of the most critical economic arteries on the planet. A substantial percentage of the world's oil exports pass through this narrow waterway. Tankers leaving Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and other Gulf producers must navigate this corridor before reaching global markets. This creates an extraordinary vulnerability. At its narrowest navigable point, the shipping lanes are only a few miles wide. Any major military conflict, naval blockade, mining operation, or missile attack could disrupt global energy supplies almost instantly. Oil prices could skyrocket. Stock markets could panic. Entire economies could feel the impact within days. Because of this, some Christians look at biblical passages describing worldwide economic collapse and wonder whether a future crisis involving the Strait of Hormuz could become part of a larger prophetic scenario. The book of Revelation contains vivid imagery of global commerce collapsing in catastrophic fashion. Merchants mourn, cargoes stop moving, wealth vanishes. Entire economic systems tremble. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her because no one buys their cargoes anymore. To modern readers living in a globalized economy dependent on maritime trade and oil transportation, passages like these feel eerily relevant. A severe disruption in the Strait of Hormuz could indeed create worldwide economic shockwaves unlike almost anything in modern history. Yet Revelation itself never mentions oil. It never names the Strait of Hormuz. It never explicitly identifies modern Iran or petroleum trade routes. The association emerges because modern readers naturally interpret ancient imagery through contemporary fears and realities. Another major source of speculation comes from Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, the famous prophecy concerning Gog and Magog. Within this prophecy appears a coalition of nations, including Persia. Since ancient Persia corresponds geographically to modern Iran, Many prophecy teachers believe Iran will play a role in future Middle Eastern conflicts described in Ezekiel. Because Iran controls the northern side of the Strait of Hormuz, some interpreters imagine that future tensions in this waterway could become connected to broader prophetic wars. But even here, caution is necessary. Ezekiel never mentions maritime oil choke points, tankers, or naval warfare in the Persian Gulf. The prophecy exists within an ancient framework using the geopolitical language of Ezekiel's own era. Whether these passages should be understood literally, symbolically, spiritually, historically, or futuristically remains one of the most debated subjects in biblical interpretation. Throughout Christian history, believers have often connected current world events to prophecy. During the Roman era, Christians saw Rome in apocalyptic visions. During the Ottoman expansion, many Europeans believed biblical prophecies were unfolding before their eyes. During the Cold War, some associated Russia and nuclear weapons with Gog and Magog. After each global crisis, new prophetic interpretations emerged. The Strait of Hormuz has now entered that long tradition of interpretation because it represents something humanity has always feared: the possibility that a single geopolitical fracture could destabilize the entire world. There is also a deeper symbolic dimension that fascinates theologians and historians alike. In the ancient world, gates held immense importance. City gates controlled access, commerce, protection, and military movement. Whoever controlled the gate often controlled the fate of the city itself. Over time, strategic mountain passes, canals, and narrow sea corridors came to function as enormous geopolitical gates. The Strait of Hormuz acts as one of the modern world's greatest gates. Energy flows through it. Wealth flows through it. Political leverage flows through it. Fear flows through it. And perhaps this symbolic reality is partly why people instinctively associate it with biblical prophecy. The Bible frequently portrays humanity's systems, economic, military, and imperial, as fragile despite their appearance of power. Massive empires rise and fall. Trade networks flourish and collapse. Nations boast of strength only to discover how vulnerable they truly are. The Persian Empire itself once appeared unstoppable. Babylon once believed its walls could never fall. Rome once dominated the known world. Yet history swallowed them all. Today, the Strait of Hormuz stands at the center of another vast global system: modern industrial civilization itself. Entire nations depend on the uninterrupted movement of energy through this narrow corridor. A disruption there would not merely affect one country, it could ripple across every continent. This is why the region carries such prophetic fascination, even without explicit biblical mention. Thank you so much for joining us today. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring teachings and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new post. Drop a comment below to let us know what you think and share this video with your family and friends. Remain blessed, and we'll see you next time.